So Bernard, what do you say to folks who are concerned the vaccine was created too quickly?
I'm not even sure if that vaccine was actually created too quickly. It took the same amount of time to create the vaccine as you would the flu vaccine. But I think it is the testing process that was short, right? So we were able to show that the vaccine worked after 2 months. But there is a huge reason for that. It's because we had COVID all over the US and even all over the world. So if you're giving one side of the trial saline, right, normal saline, and the other side COVID-19 vaccine, then you would actually show at a very short period that the vaccine works. Meaning, in the case of Pfizer and Moderna, they were 95% effective. In the case of Johnson & Johnson, it was around 70% efficacy, right? So the only difference between this vaccines and the others is that the time of people to develop the infection, which is what you're protecting the person against. So any drug that you're doing, you actually want to see the outcome, right? And in this case, it just took a lot of time, right? It just took a shorter period of time because of the number of people getting infected.
I think,
Go ahead.
I think these are the most scrutinized vaccines that we have. So everyone is watching them very closely, and they waited the appropriate amount of time to look for side effects. Most serious side effects happen within 4 to 6 weeks of receiving a vaccine, and they waited a minimum of 2 months, and they're actually waiting even longer for our younger population to be offered vaccination. So instead of waiting 2 months, they're waiting 4 to 6 months. And as Bernard said, we had a lot of COVID. It didn't take long for people to have events in the group that were not vaccinated to get symptomatic infections or even be hospitalized. But we weren't really seeing that even with Johnson & Johnson. People were vaccinated, weren't getting hospitalized, they weren't in ICUs, and they weren't dying from COVID-19. And it didn't take long to see.
Right, and then also like when I think about it, we're in the middle of a global pandemic, right? So all hands were on deck to find the solution, to find the answers. So it wasn't the typical, it's in a queue and we're waiting until we get to it. Everybody was focused on making this happen. So it's not so much that the process was rushed, but we dedicated all of our resources into making this happen within a reasonable amount of time.
And I've also heard that folks are concerned that it's just FDA authorized, not or emergency use and not fully approved. Should they be concerned, or do we expect that approval pretty quickly?
Well, I can tell you that other vaccines that have been approved in the past have been tested on people a lot less than what's, that have been exposed to the COVID-19 vaccine. If you think about it, 200 million people now in this country alone, close to it, that have gotten the vaccine. And in 1 year, we only give out 100 million flu vaccine each year. So, I mean, it's double the number of vaccines that have been given out for COVID versus flu. And so I think the FDA is the federal government. They do have these milestones they have to meet. And the usual thing is when a company submits data for approval of whatever drug vaccine they have, the FDA always waits 6 months, right? Doesn't matter what it is, they always wait 6 months to get full licensure or full approval. In this situation, they could do it earlier because, again, more people have gotten this vaccine than any other vaccine in the world. You can even combine the top 5 vaccines that we get, and more people have gotten this vaccine than other vaccines.